Hi, I'm Vinny, and this is Wednesday Wisdom. This is a weekly show where we take time out of our busy schedules to reach out to people who might be really depressed, really stressed out, or just stuck in a rut and need extra motivation. And my motivation for this week, my words of wisdom that I'll bestow upon you is simple. Bring back common sense. Now, in the midst of everything that we have gone through with this whole pandemic and everything that has, transpired over these last few months, and as it slowly but surely, starts to wind down, as you can see, I'm finally back in the office, so things are somewhat getting back to normal. Of course, I'm here by myself, but hopefully in time, myself and the whole gang will be here. I think now is an important time that we need to get back on track in a way. I feel like, with the pandemic being as big as it was and us not having a lot of knowledge and not really knowing what to do and just getting bits and pieces of info as we've gone along, I feel like in a lot of cases people are just letting their emotions cloud their judgment. And that is something that we cannot have happen, that you cannot do to yourself. I can't do it. None of us can do it, because if our emotions cloud our judgment, then we're going to make either rash decisions or bad decisions. Mistakes can happen. It can happen in life and it can happen in business. So having common sense helps keep everything in check. And I'll give you a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. For example, as far as health goes, obviously, if you're sick, you should stay home. So on the one hand, if you're sick, if you know you got a fever, if you know you're not feeling well, if you know you're not up to it, you should stay home. Now, of course, you should call your boss and everything and let them know that you're not coming in because you're sick. That is what you should do. Now, on the flip side, at the same time, if you are a boss or a supervisor, if you're in a position of authority and you see somebody at work, at their desk or on the job site or wherever, and they're clearly sick, they're clearly not feeling well. And this is mostly for the guys, because guys tend to do this the most. And I know a lot of people are looking at me right now going, Vinny, that's kind of sexist. No, this is accurate. But most guys, regardless of how we feel, whether we're healthy or we're sick, we go to work. It's just how we're raised. It's how our dads especially raised us. We're taught all our lives that unless you physically cannot get up, you go to work. If you can get out of bed, you can get in your car. If you can get in your car, you can go to work. That's the mentality of all men. I remember a long time ago, my dad was actually driving to work, and he got into a car accident and broke his foot. And my dad actually called my mother and said, I'm on I-85. I got in an accident. I think my foot is broken. I need you to drive me to work. And my mom, of course, didn't say anything at the time because she knew this was not the time to have this discussion, but she kind of looked confused. So she hangs up the phone. She drives to where my dad is. She picks him up. She realizes my dad can barely walk on this foot. Barely. He can't put a lot of pressure on it, if any. And he's still saying, I need to go to work, I need to go to work. And my mom had to be the voice of reason and say, no, your foot is broken. We got to get you to a hospital. So they go to the hospital. Then eventually they take my dad home. And my dad is still saying, I want to go to work, I want to go to work, I want to go to work. And my mom is still like, no, you can just. It got to the point where she had to call our neighbor, and he had to come over and help convince him, and he's like, hey, bro, you can't make it to work. Go sit down, relax. Let's put your foot up, and we're going to get you, surgery and fix it and everything, and you're going to be fine. Long story short, my dad got his foot fixed. He later got a corrective boot and was able to go to work after a couple of days. But, that's just the mentality of guys, We're taught this. So if you see somebody at work who is sick, don't shame them. Don't get mad at them. Just, explain to them. And you got to do it in a polite way. Because like I said, guys are never going to admit that they're sick. We're never going to admit that we're too sick to go to work. We should, but we just don't. So if you see it happening, don't get mad at them. Don't judge them. Don't try to say, you're going to infect us all. Don't go there. All you got to do, if you're a boss, you just go over and you're politely saying, hey, you look kind of sick today. You're coughing, you're sneezing a lot. I notice you're blowing your nose off a lot. I think you should go home. Now, he's going to tell you, no, I got it, I can handle it. He's going to resist the first time you do it. No guy is going to go home the first time you ask to send them home. Even if they want to go, they're not going to. Because they want to make sure they want the boss to know, hey, I'm a guy that shows up every day, because we know bosses respect that. We show up every day. We work hard. You know, it's stuff that you appreciate because you know I can trust this person. There's value in this person. When you're looking for somebody to promote and move them up the corporate ladder, you know this is a guy you want to promote because he's dependable. So he's never going to admit it. So you got to be firm, but again, nice. Just say, look, no, I insist. Matter of fact, here's how you do it. As your boss, I'm telling you, you need to go home. You're not feeling well. Eventually, you break him down, he'll say, okay, and then he'll get up and he'll leave and go home. But there's a way to do it, and you got to do it that way. Now, common sense would tell him to stay home, but he's not going to listen. So I'm just giving the boss advice. If you see it, don't yell, don't scream, don't judge, don't insult. Because people are just nobody wants to be viewed as replaceable at their job. Even if that person is, they don't want to be viewed that way. So that's another key thing. You got to look at it from a health perspective. Also, when it comes to health, and this is for everybody else, this is another common sense thing I'm going to share. Know the difference between a sick cough and a normal cough. You know, a COVID sneeze and an allergy sneeze. Case in point, I'll use myself as an example. I smoke a lot of cigarettes. I am also allergic to pollen. When the pollen season rolls around, I am coughing and sneezing a lot. A lot. I can take Claritin, I can take, Benadryl, throw whatever you got at me. It's still gonna happen. I'm gonna do it. And I'm not sick, I just have allergies. So you gotta know the difference. That's why, people used to freak out whenever I would sneeze. I had to explain to them, it's pollen. Or when I would cough a lot, people would be like, oh my God, are you sick? I'm like, no, I just smoke cigarettes. And they're like, well, you should quit smoking cigarettes. And again, common sense would tell me I should quit smoking cigarettes if that's the problem. So and that's the thing I'm saying about this common sense thing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. You gotta know that. I'm putting myself on blast too. There's a lot of common sense mistakes that I make. I just know that these are things that we all need to do, to get back on track. So think about those things. Also, and I'm going to get a little controversial with this one, but I'm just throwing it out there. Right now there's, protesting going on. I'm fine with it. Obviously, First Amendment gives you the right to protest. You want to speak your mind. I'm entirely fine with that. Not complaining at all. I will say this, though. If you are going to protest, don't stand in the middle of the street. That's something you just don't want to do. I get that you want to get your message out there. You want to show your attention. But if you stay in the middle of the street, accidents can happen. Like somebody stands in the middle of the street. Like you ever seen it on the news? Somebody will stand in the middle of the street and yell at somebody and bang on their car and do crazy stuff. Next thing you know, that person gets hit by the car or guy starts driving forward and he's going through this crazy crowd and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe he drove through those people. And I'm like, the hell were they doing in the street? It's like, remember when you were a kid and your parents would tell you, don't play in the middle of the street? It's not because they were afraid somebody was going to try and kill you. It's because they knew accidents can happen, especially if someone's driving and they hit the brakes and they can't stop in time. Because that can happen with a car, especially if you don't have power brakes or if you got the brake pads like that scene in Tommy Boy where he's showing the car, driving along, woo. Then there's the truck tire, whoa, that was close. And then, the driving along, kids from the backseat, I gotta go to the bathroom, not now, truck tire, I can't stop, That scene. He did that for a reason, because things can happen. So I would say, again, don't get in the middle of the street. Stand on the corner, make a video, put it on the internet, that's like what I do, just have your voice be heard, but do it in a way that's not gonna get you or somebody else hurt. You want to be safe when you do it. And as long as you're doing it in a safe way and you're not, bothering other people or inconveniencing a day or putting yourself in harm's way, nobody can say anything to you at that point, And the bottom line is people who want to hear your voice are going to hear it. The people who don't want to hear it are not going to hear it. And there's no point in getting yourself killed over that. But that's just me. Anyway, another thing I want to do is, especially in the midst of everything with people's emotions on high, remember to say please and thank you. You know, like especially when you're around essential people, like the essential workers, when you see them, you know, or if you're at a restaurant, you're asking for something, remember to say please, remember to say thank you. And I can't believe, and you're probably sitting here going, Booch, Vinny, I can't believe you're talking about this. And I'm like, I am. This is called common sense. So I'm talking about a lot of common sense things. Also, speaking of manners, okay, I had something specific for the guys. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to talk to the ladies right now, particularly the older ladies. When someone calls you ma'am, please stop taking that as an insult. Ma'am is a form of respect. It is what we are taught as kids to say yes, sir, and no, sir, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. I still do it to this day. You know, even though my boss and I have a great working relationship and we talk all the time, we joke all the time, and we laugh all the time, whenever we're in employee-employer mode, where he's assigning me a task and saying, here's what I need you to do, here's what we're going to get done, I still say to him, yes, sir. Even though, like I said, we have kind of a good working relationship and we can laugh and joke around, I still address him as sir when he gives me a task. Because that's my way of showing him, hey, even though, you know, we have a friendly working relationship, I still respect you as my boss. You know, I still give him that respect because he is my boss. You know, no matter how close of a friendship he and I have, no matter how much we laugh and joke around and say sarcastic stuff, we might even, we might even get to a point in our working relationship where we might be roasting each other one day. He might come in and ball bust me. I might come in and ball bust him. But I know at the end of the day, he's still my boss. So there has to be a moment in time where I show that respect. And I do that by addressing him as sir. So, and I get it. Women, I know, ladies have a fear of getting old. We all have a fear of getting old. But guess what? It's going to happen to us someday. So we really have to be mindful of that. And we really have to just understand that when someone calls you sir or ma'am, they're not implying that you're old. They're trying to show you respect. And that is the best way to do it. So if someone calls you ma'am, just say thank you. And accept the fact that because that person calls you ma'am, they respect you. Also, I know with the pandemic going on, a lot of us have been working at home. And I'm sure a lot of us have been doing, you know, virtual. So if you've been out there looking for another job, if God forbid your job lets you go and you either A, weren't able to go back to work, or B, you decided, hey, I'm going to move on to bigger and better things, still remember to dress up for a job interview. You know, I get that it's a virtual interview, but don't do the interview in a t-shirt and underwear. Still put a suit on when you sit in front of that camera. Because when you wear a suit to a job interview, it lets the person know that you're serious. Like right now, currently, I got a shirt on. I got a hat. I'm wearing jeans. You can't see the jeans because I'm sitting down. And the only reason I did that was because when I showed up to the interview, I wore a suit. I was decked out. I wore my suit, looking good, cleaning up, looking as good as I can look. And the reason I dressed like this is because the first couple of days, actually the first week or so that I worked here, I wore a suit to work every day that I came here. Until one day, my boss pulled me to the side, and he said, you know, Vinny, you can dress a little more casually here. You know, you don't necessarily have to wear a suit if you don't want to. He said, if you want to, that's great. I'm not going to tell you not to, but you can dress a little more casual around the office. Once I got the okay from the boss, I proceeded to dress a little more, you know, casual so that I can, feel comfortable. And I feel comfortable in this. Now, obviously, if the situation calls for me to put a suit on, I will. Like if we're talking to clients or we have a major meeting, then I'll probably put a suit on for that. But other than that, I can just wear this and be comfortable. And that's really the best job to have, is when you can be casual. So if the boss tells you later you can be casual, go all out with it. But make sure you wear a suit in the beginning so they know you're serious about the job. You want them to know that you're serious about where you want to be. And finally, I saved this for last because it's the biggest issue: politics. Look, I don't care which side of the fence you guys choose to ride on. I don't really care about it particularly myself, but I will say this. Stop arguing with each other over politics is another key thing, because common sense will tell you they're all corrupt and stupid. In fact, they need common sense more than any of us. I can tell you that right now. If anyone needs common sense, it's them. So us arguing back and forth is not going to get us anywhere. It's like you're basically saying my stupid guy is better than your stupid guy. They're still stupid guys. And while you're sitting here killing each other over them, they're up there not thinking about you or me or any of us. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude Wednesday Wisdom for this week. I apologize in advance if this sounded like a complaint, because I know that's a whole nother show that I do, and I was trying not to do that. But I really, really want to hammer home the fact that even though I'm talking about common sense, I'm trying to do it from a place of, love and understanding. Because that's what this show is about. It's about motivating people. It's about, wanting people to become their best selves. And that's why I do this show. I want people to become the very best of what they can do. Unfortunately, sometimes it does require a little bit of tough love. So that's kind of what I'm doing this week. I'm giving a little bit of tough love. Not a lot, just a smidgen. Just a smidgen of tough love. And I hope that the tough love was very helpful for you guys. So if it was, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Wednesday Wisdom, as well as other additional HVMA content. Check back soon for a new video. And until then, stay social.